Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and yes, I admit it, I took a couple of days off in the name of self-care, but don't worry, I'm back now and just in time to review Australia's song for Eurovision 2020, and I see no reason to delay. Let's just get right on in with the basic information. It's performed by one Jessica Alyssa Cerro. I can't help but roll the R, there's two R's there, but her stage name is Montaigne. I know I can speak French, I just struggle to pronounce it. Montaigne. I'm struggling. Help. And the song is called Don't Break Me, and you will get that impression very strongly over the course of the song. She says it loudly enough. Anyway, it's fully in English, which isn't all that surprising because Australia, and music and lyrics by Montaigne. The artist herself, as well as DNA Music, also known as Anthony Egidzi and David Musumeshi, the latter two being responsible for all of Australia's past Eurovision songs since their debut, apart from last year and 2015, 2016, there are two songs that weren't written by them, but the rest of them are. So yeah, let's see how I feel about this one then. To be perfectly honest, I was kind of worried. I know I've been behind with listening to this year's songs so far, and I actually started to get the feeling that this might end up being a weak year, but that has no basis in anything. I was just over-worrying. It's what I do, don't worry about it. Long story short though, massive shout out to Australia for blowing those cobwebs right out of my head with this song. It's like Sia meets Florence and the Machine by way of Marina and the Diamonds, and yes, there's a little bit of Melanie Martinez in there as well. It's clear to see influences or styles comparable to those artists, but I would not call this song derivative in any way whatsoever. It just reminds me of those other artists rather than being, oh, it's ripping them off. You know how it is. So yeah, Montaigne is very much her own beast, and bearing in mind I haven't heard any of the songs she was up against in the national final, I would take a wild guess and say that her victory was entirely deserved. Also, on a personal note, she's a fan of Pokemon. She was playing one of the new games in her dressing room, and her costume was apparently inspired by Mr. Mime. Just dang props to you, Miss Cerro. You certainly know how to earn my appreciation. I'm not going to support the song just because she's a fellow Pokemon fan, but it helps. In any case, though, starting with the positives, much as I like Montaigne as an individual after all of that, I won't let that influence my analysis of this song, as I just said. So, the word I keep coming back to with this entry is strong. This song, for one thing, has a very strong stage presence, as does Montaigne herself. It's eye-catching, it's mesmerising, and in a way not unlike Azerbaijan in 2012. It's eclectic, otherworldly, it's got just a touch of the whoa, wait, what did I just watch to it? But not so much as to undermine, or should I say, undermime, the impact of the performance. If anything, I dare say it enhances it. Also, mad credit to Montaigne as an artist for being able to deliver such top-quality live vocals during the performance. As far as I could hear, her voice was on point. My mother said that she sounded a bit shaky, and I honestly couldn't tell whether that was intentional. I assumed it was intentional because it fits. It could also have been because of the choreography, I don't know. It felt appropriate to me. I didn't hear her hit any wrong notes, but I guess maybe you could interpret it as that. I don't know. But yeah, she hit the right notes, she hit the right emotions as well. You know, as I'm saying, she was letting her voice crack in all the right places, etc. And that's all in spite of that really energy-consuming choreography. And I know a thing or two about professional mime. Like, not just the old black and white French, ooh, there's an invisible wall, but like, there are actual traditional mime techniques incorporated into the performance of this song that they're really hard to maintain without a lot of practice and a lot of dedicated energy. So the fact that she could pull all of that off so convincingly whilst still delivering a top-notch vocal performance is beyond laudable. Like, mad shout out there. It's not easy, but she did it anyway. And the lyrics, too. They deserve recognition here. I haven't overused the word poetic for a couple of years, so let's drag that word out again. Without overstating my praise, I'll just say that it's a very well-written song. It doesn't sound cliché, it doesn't sound derivative, it's not the old-fashioned fire, wire, desire, you make me fly, this is my life rubbish. it's unique. Like, the story itself, yeah, we've heard it before, but it's told in a relatively unique way, and it still feels organic as well. It's not just busting out the same old lyrics and the same old rhymes. It is an honest individual's genuine plea. That's how it comes across. That's what the song's meant to be, and that's how it sounds. And even without Montaigne's vocals and visual spectacle and all of that stunningness, if you just read the lyrics, it still comes across like that anyway. And beyond all of this, can we just praise Australia for sending what might be their most real-world radio-friendly chart-ready entry ever? Don't get me wrong, their previous entries have been along those lines too, to one extent or another. Like, Australia always sends something that sounds like it's in the charts, UK take note. But this is far and away their most chartable by a really long shot. Like, they usually pull stuff of this quality, but this is above and beyond in that regard, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I think the UK is going to really love this one. Not that we can vote for it in the semi-finals, but whatever. If it doesn't enter the UK charts when all's said and done, that says more about the UK charts than it does about this song. Brava! Bravissima, even! On the other hand, though, even my most beloved of songs does have to undergo at least some scrutiny, so we can understand and appreciate why some people might not like the song quite so much. And to be fair, if you vibe with anything that appears on this list, that's fine. That's valid too. So let's start with the obvious. For as artistic and as technically impressive as the staging is, it can also be incredibly distracting. There will be some people who see this song come on and they try to follow it, but then they find the overwhelming performance pulls them out of the experience. Yes, the choreography is incredibly lyrically appropriate, and the interpretive dance tells the story of the song, and it's all very fitting, but there's a lot of constant motion going on, which makes it very visually busy. Similarly, both that and the costume from the national final can be a little bit hard to take seriously. This is an emotional, well-written pop ballad ? So watching her perform whilst in what would look to most people like clown makeup, complete with a neck ruffle collar thing, that can massively detract from the whole experience. There is an art to the juxtaposition of serious words and feelings with silly appearances, but be aware that thresholds vary. With some viewers, it will have completely the opposite effect from what they're intending. Granted, if it's to be anything like last year, the staging concept could change completely by the time it reaches Rotterdam, so consider all of this with a grain of salt. One thing that's less likely to change, though, is Montaigne's voice itself. She's good, she's talented, she's proficient, and she's emotional, but that Marina/Florence style, especially when coupled with the variable emotional timbre, with lyrics that are, as previously stated, unique enough in their execution, can make it hard to understand what the lyrics actually are in some parts. The refrain is clear enough, "Don't break me," as I said, she says it clearly enough, but on my first listening, I had trouble following some of the verses, some of the rest of the song. I suspect that's more an issue with my first impression than anything else, but for a lot of the voting public, that first impression is all they get to vote on, so just consider that, I guess. There's not much that can be done about it, because if she crisply enunciates every syllable, then that kind of ruins the effect of the song, and it's all here rather than here anyway. I know what I mean, which is completely useless for the purposes of a review. Moving on! As you might be able to infer, I am a fan of this song, absolutely. I'll give it a tentative 9 out of 10 for my personal score, but honestly, I expect that to go up before the end of the season. I enjoyed this so much more than I was afraid that I might. And I think this is going to end up on my Spotify playlist for my commute to and from work for a while into the future. What else can I say? I appreciate both the visual and the technicality of the performance, and I enjoyed the music. I enjoy her presence within all of it. I enjoy this song. Australia has struck gold here, and I really didn't see that coming, though mostly just because I had the big sad at the time, so it's not even Australia's fault. On the technical side, maybe I'm letting my subjective side influence me a bit too much here, but I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. Yep, the staging can be a bit distracting and hard to take seriously, but that could completely change at the contest proper. If you just take the song in isolation and bear in mind how well Montaigne performs it, even whilst under the duress of such a trying choreographic performance, you've got a well-sung, well-written, radio-friendly hit that doesn't sound derivative, even if it does call other familiar artists to mind, that carves out a strong presence for itself. It fills that presence with charisma, charm, and a self-sustaining sense of identity. Whether she aims for the Barbara Dex Award or not with this one remains to be seen, but even if she does, a strong song is a strong song, and that's that. However, in spite of all the praise I've given, and in spite of the fact that I personally think this is an improvement over last year's song, just if I were to compare the two side by side like I used to, I could still only give Australia a yellow arrow in terms of the bigger picture. Yes, the national final format is great. They've got talented artists from a variety of backgrounds, they've had entries containing Aboriginal language lyrics both years so far, in different Aboriginal languages as well, and SBS knows how to stir up the fandom. But that's the problem. I worry that the Australian public may have unwittingly voted for Montaigne for her lol wacky staging rather than for her legitimate positive qualities, and that's all completely down to how the broadcaster markets the national final. By all means, yes, acknowledge and celebrate the LGBTQ+ community. Definitely do that. That is a good thing. But the national final has consistently been marketed almost exclusively at the loud and proud branch of the LGBTQ+ community, to the point of seeming almost alienating to everyone else. And I'm not saying, well, it's not straight enough. I'm saying that there are more people in the LGBTQ+ community than just the "Yas, Queen, Slay" hyperstands, and the marketing kind of seems to forget that. And also the slightly more obvious, there are more people in the Eurovision fandom than just the LGBTQ+ community anyway. Australia already has issues with dichotomizing diversity and sexuality against machismo and fragile masculinity, and trying to make the national final a pride event first and a national final second kind of doesn't help with that, because then you get people voting on the wackiest staging rather than the best Eurovision candidate. Also, Dami Im said she intends to compete in the selection next year, and yes, she's a great musician, she's done some brilliant songs. But there's literally no point in having a national final if she intends to participate, because her fandom are extremely loud and aggressive, to the point that if anyone says Dami Im, but suddenly they're at your throat with knives. I've been there. So there's no point even pretending that any other candidate would even get a look in, and that's the tea. Moving on. Back to Montaigne though. Australia has never missed a final yet, so will this keep up that trend? Well, they've qualified with much weaker songs than this before, so I dare say that, yeah, it's not even a question. True, we don't have much to compare it to when it comes to what it's up against in semi-final 1, but I mean, strong singer, strong staging, strong song. Yeah, I think this is probably gonna be fine. I mean, upsets do happen, this is Eurovision, anything could happen, but I think Australia's fairly safe. Australia serves quality music every single year, and this is no exception. If it doesn't qualify, I will be surprised. But what do you lovely people think? As always, iCard in the corner of the video, let me know how you feel. Do you like the song? Do you not? It's entirely up to you. I won't tell you how to think. Let's just have a nice civil discussion about it in the comments below. So, yeah, to Montaigne. I wish you the very best of luck for Rotterdam, and I can't wait to see where you end up on the scoreboard, because I will probably vote for this if I can, so see you in May.